Well, thank God that's over. Holy. Right. Jake Paul wins an 8 round UD over Mike Tyson. Now, when this fight was announced, I think the people who, follow boxing religiously, and even to, I'd say, a demographic of the casual audience, we were all kind of like, really? Is this really the best you can? Is this really going to happen? Because we knew Mike Tyson pushing 60, Jake Paul is in his late 20s. I mean, there's a 31-year age gap. 31-year age gap between the two. That is just insanity. Mike Tyson hasn't had a professional fight for nearly 20 years, 19 and a half years, thereabouts. So this was always going to be, this was always going to be bad. No one was envisioning a competitive fight. Maybe some casuals, some Mike Tyson fans, stuff like that, but no one was envisioning a competitive fight. And my biggest fear for this fight was Mike Tyson pushing 60 could end up getting seriously hurt. He could end up getting knocked out. I know that's part of the game, but at nearly 60 years old, what kind of effect could that have on him neurologically? I mean, you hear stories about people in their 20s, 30s, who get knocked out badly, and, it affects them neurologically. How's that going to affect you when you're pushing 60? So I was really like, oh my God, I can't believe this fight is happening. It was meant to happen in July. Mike Tyson, as they said on commentary, had a health scare, so, you're really selling it. So it gets pushed back to now. So both guys are in the ring, and I'm just thinking, right, 8 rounds. Let's just hope that this is in the nicest way, let's just hope this is a crap fight in a sense of it's dull, there's hardly any punches landed. So at least that way, I'm not really worried about Jake Paul in a sense of I'm pretty sure he's coming out of the ring okay, but in more of a sense that Mike Tyson comes out unscathed. All right, because that was more what we were worried about. Now, first round, Mike Tyson comes out moving. I don't want to say he's moving. For a 58-year-old man, seemed to have a little bit of poise there. And bear in mind, they were doing 2-minute rounds. Excuse me. They were doing 2-minute rounds, 2-minute rounds. So it's not like we were going to have a long drawn out affair where they were going to they could set a high pace, something like that over the course of 3 minutes. It was going to be like that. You had to get your work done and be done. That was it. In and out, job done. That was how it was meant to be. Now, Mike Tyson lost that first round, in my opinion, even though the unofficial score gave the first 2 rounds to Tyson. Don't know what fight he was watching. But Tyson came out, was throwing the jab. He actually landed a good jab on Jake Paul, to be fair. But Jake Paul finished the round by landing a grazing right hand on Mike Tyson. But I just thought he was the busier of the two, and he won that first round. It wasn't a very, very high tempo, that first round. It wasn't fought at a frantic pace, even though it was a 2-minute round. It was low volume, not really much happened, and that was that. The second round starts, and I noticed immediately, and so was Roy Jones. Mike Tyson's legs are just gone. And I'm not talking about him being, legs gone because he's concussed, Amir Khan legs. His legs are just done. There's nothing in them. There's no poise in them. They're done. And that's after, you got to bear in mind, that's after 2 minutes, 120 seconds of not really doing anything. He moved and threw a couple of shots, but it was, I think he only landed like 3 or 4 shots in the first round. And that wasn't a high volume. I think percentage wise it was quite high because the volume was so low. So it wasn't like, they threw at a high. It wasn't like he went out there in the first round, threw everything but the kitchen sink and oh, now he's knackered. It was just like legs are completely gone. And from round 2 to round 8, it was sad to watch, but at the same time I was kind of like, do you know what? There's no major damage being inflicted on Mike Tyson. So in theory, that's actually a good thing. It might not be pleasant viewing on the eye because it's boring, nothing's happening. But I'm kind of glad, excuse me, that there's not anything bad happening to Mike Tyson. He looked every bit his 58 years in there. And you might have some people say, well, for a 58-year-old man, for a 58-year-old man, fair play, well done, brilliant. Yeah, he was in there with a 27-year-old in a sport, you say, oh, he's a 57-year-old man and he's playing football. Yeah, okay, he's not going to look particularly good, but what's the worst that can happen? A slide tackle goes in or something like that, but yeah, what's the worst that can happen? He's a 58-year-old man playing darts. Hey, there are world champions at darts in their 50s. Who cares? No one's punching those guys. No one's hitting them in the face. The risk factor is next to nothing in some of those sports. Golf, and another one. Risk factor is next to nothing. Risk factor in boxing is incredibly high. Jake Paul I got the impression Jake Paul, if he wanted to, he could have took Tyson out like that. He could have opened up a combination. Tyson had no power in his shots because his legs were completely gone. You see some of the left hooks he was throwing, his legs were just in the one position. He couldn't actually get any poise on them. It was just a little arm shot, and that's it. And people were saying, well, maybe Jake Paul is maybe a little bit intimidating. No, Jake Paul bowed to Mike Tyson by the end of this fight. He knew damn well. This guy hasn't got anything. This guy, and I thought that in the public workout because I thought he looked absolutely awful in that public workout. He looked like an old man. Well, shocking, he is. But I thought like everything about him just looked like that body was not doing what it needed to be doing. His timing was off. His speed wasn't there. It looked like he was forcing everything to the extent. I'd say for him to do a 5-6 punch combination would have took probably almost all of his strength. It was an absolute S show in there. It really truly was. This was one of the most, maybe even one of the worst, maybe the worst cash grab and exploitation of just some fans who know no better. It was an absolute joke. Saying that, the undercard is pretty good. I mean, like, as you know, I tend not to cover a lot of female fights, but I thought Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano 2 was brilliant. I mean, that really was the fight of the night for me. It was an absolutely brilliant affair. Really, really was. Disgustingly biased commentary. I will say that. Absolutely. That has to be. That makes the zone, that commentary in terms of biased. That would, even Tony Bellew would look at that and say, well, I'm not that biased. Yeah, it was disgusting, that commentary for that fight. But back to Tyson Paul. Look, Mike Tyson, thank God, came out of this unscathed. No damage that we know of. Certainly from punches. Maybe his knees and legs are a bit, gone. But that's just, you can get surgery for that. But we can fix that. But thank God he's not hurt. Thank God he came through this. And I understand, Jake Paul, I know you're not watching, but if you are, Jake Paul, Eddie Hearn, I know Eddie Hearn wouldn't do it, but anyone in the boxing, never, ever do anything like this again. Because, do you know something? One of these, if they did do something like this, they dig up a fighter, an old fighter from the 90s or the 80s, probably the 90s, who maybe is even worse shot than Mike Tyson. And someone would go in there, with a dumb idea that, I'm gonna knock out, James Toney. Yeah, right. I'm gonna knock out James Toney, and then there's gonna be an absolute avalanche of backlash. Something like that would happen if they carry it on. So please, for the love of God, never, ever, 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 ever do anything like this again. This was a flipping joke of a fight. Anyway, rant done. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Until next time, people. I'll probably do a live tomorrow. We're going to do a live for the CBS Zurdo fight, but I'll probably do one in the afternoon just to kind of give my 2 cents on it. Let me know your thoughts. Peace.